everyone and welcome back to this channel. In today's video we are continuing from page 14 on chapter 2 class 6 history. In the first part we looked at this very important map. We can have a little blue square which we will more further about later in this chapter. The diamonds is for the early village, and as you can see, all of them are near some kind of rivers, right? That's so amazing. They all are near riverbanks, and you know why they're near riverbanks, because they need water and they can move from one place to another through water. You can look a bit closer on that map. You might understand a bit more, but let's continue for now. As the stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stones were easily available. So they looked for good quality stone, which is nice and sharp, it's strong, it can cut easily, and those are like the points they're really looking for, and that's also a reason why they have to move from places to places. Let's read this little part. Bimbitka. Let's see over here. Bimbitka. There. The red triangle, Bimbitka, in present-day Madhya Pradesh. So it is Madhya Pradesh. This is an old site where caves and rock shelters. People choose these natural caves because they provided shelter from the rain, heat, and the wind. These rock shelters are close to the Narmada Valley. Can you think of why people chose to live here? So a valley, yes, a valley is basically a place near two mountains, and if those mountains are high enough, they should have lakes, and that lake will have water. And that should be drinkable water for back then, or they might do something to the water, but we don't know really. So that's a reason why they might live in Bimbitka, or near the Narmada Valley. Rock paintings and what they tell us. A rock painting for a rock shelter. Describe the painting. So let's describe the painting as this is a person chasing or hunting this deer. So that's basically what I can conclude out of that painting. And maybe you can conclude something else. So you can just comment that below and I can have a look. I can maybe help you with any questions, or I can have a look. It would be really nice for me to see. Many of the caves in which these early people lived have paintings on the wall. Some of the best examples from Madhya Pradesh and this southern Uttar Pradesh. These paintings show wild animals drawn with great accuracy and skill. So for back then, that's very accurate, and because it's made with something sharp and it's really not like pencil, so it would have been harder. So that could be like the south, and that's a cave right there. That's a little one right there. That's a bigger cave right there. You can call those caves. Sites are places where remains of things, so remains of basically things from the past are there. So I'm not gonna really read the whole thing. Finding out about fire. So this is on the Kernel caves that we talked about. The Kernel caves, they have found traces of ash. They have found traces of ash, and this suggests that they back then they were very familiar with fire. Fire could have been used for many things, as a source of light, to source meat, to scare away animals, and more stuff. But why do we use fire for today? Well, that's very easy. You use fire to cook things, right? Sometimes you use it while camping, and there are really, really diverse things that you can do with fire. when you worship, you use fire to embrace the god with, and yeah, so that's how we use fire. Names and dates. Archaeologists have given lengthy names for the time that we are studying. The earliest period is called the Paleolithic period. So this comes from two Greek words, paleo, meaning old, and lithos, sorry, it's kind of hidden, meaning stone. The main points to the importance of finds two stone tools they use. So this is like the Stone Age, but like really when they actually use stone to do all their work. The Paleolithic period expands from 2 million years to 12,000 years ago. So this old stone thingy thing is from 2 million to 12,000. This long stretch of time is divided into lower, middle, upper Paleolithic periods. This long span of time covers 99% of human history, so it's a long time, 2 million to 12,000 is just a lot. The period when we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic, Middle Age, a middle stone age. So stone tools were found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. Micro meaning small, and lith is it's meaning stone, because lithos is a stone, so liths should be stone as well. Microliths were probably stuck on handles of bones or wood to make tools such as saws and sickles. Saws and sickles are just like tools that you can use to cut down things or hunt animals and stuff. At the same time, older varieties of tools continued to be in use. So in my Mesolithic age, Paleolithic tools were still a little bit used, but they were not fully gone. The next stage from about 10,000 years ago is known as the Neolithic age. What do you think the term Neolithic means? Meaning neo could mean new. We have also mentioned the names of some places. You will find the names of many more places in their chapters. Very often we use present day names of places. Changing environment. Around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world, with a shift to relative warm conditions. In many areas, this led to development of grasslands. This in turn led to an increase of number of deer, antelope, goats, sheep, and cattle. Maybe they liked the summer, they liked warm conditions. They used to live in grasslands, so they could have a much larger environment or a habitat to live in. Animals that survived on grass. Yeah, that literally says over there. Those who hunted these animals now followed them, learning about their food habits, and their breeding seasons. So they were learning about that animals from a very long ago. It is likely that this helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing these animals. As we learned that people started rearing animals, I think about 12,000 to 8,000 years ago. I think about that age from the last chapter. If I'm not right, then you can correct me. Fishing also became important, so they used to depend on fishes, they started fishing, and the beginning of farming and herding began. This was also a time where several grain-bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. So we remember that wheat and barley were first grown in hills, right? So for them to thrive and live very nicely, they have the right nutrients, maybe near the hill, maybe they have the right conditions to live. So that's like really recalling and relating back to our last chapter. So you want to relate everything to what you're learning. Men and women and children probably collected these grains as food and learned where they grew, where they ripened. Things may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became farmers. So they thought, they looked at the animals, they looked at what they did, they looked at what they ate and stuff, and then they became farmers or herders. People could also attract and then tame animals. Tame meaning they took care of them, like when you have pets at home, like you have your pet dog right next to you, sitting right there. I see them. Hi, dog. By leaving food from them near their shelters. Maybe they were kind of scared at first to tame the animals. That's why they just left some food over there so that animal can come back and have some food to eat. The first animal to be tamed was a wild ancestor of the dog. So this is very important. The dog was the first animal to be tamed, and it was a wildest ancestor because dogs weren't really tamed before, so they were all wild. Later, people encouraged animals that they were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals, such as sheep, goat, cattle, and also pig, lived in herds, and most of them ate grass. Often people protected these animals from attack by other wild animals. This is how they became herders. So herders is basically taking care of the animal, and farmers is farming and growing crops, and really also is staying near the animals. Can you think of any other reason why the dog was perhaps the first animal to be tamed? Well, it was the cutest one after all. Okay. We can look at this chapter this page in part 3, so I'll end part 2 right here, and I'll see you in the next part. Stay tuned and bye bye.